Hello, and hello. Did I come in too early? I'm sure I did. Welcome back. It's me, your girl, Lashana, and this is the Family Fortune. We're going to kind of do a recap or rehash of a topic that we might have discussed over a year ago, but I don't feel like we went too much in depth with. But instead of just me and Malcolm talking, I brought in some experts. So today we're going to talk about kind of demystifying and clarifying affordable housing. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, but say hello to my guests, Porsha and Tim. Go ahead, Tim.
Hello. So my name's Tim Turner. I'm a broker owner of Aiken Augusta Property Management. And I focus primarily on residential real estate.
You want to talk? My name is Porsha. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. I'm Porsha Beasley. I'm with Location Real Estate. And I focus on primarily everything. So I do residential, commercial, and development.
Okay.
And advocacy, of course.
Awesome. So, as I'm sure you just heard from my introduction, the one thing that I'm trying to get a better understanding of, because going down the rabbit holes myself have just left me with massive headaches. What exactly is affordable housing? What does that mean? Okay.
So there's a couple ways to look at that, Shauna. But there is a standard out there that's reasonably used, which is 30% of your gross income should go towards housing, to include utilities.
Okay.
So if you make, let's just say $3,000 a month of gross income, an affordable housing standard would be $1,000 a month. In
to
terms of
include
rent,
mortgage, rent and utilities.
That's correct. And anything above that, it becomes unaffordable of some type.
Okay.
And anything below that becomes more affordable. So that's kind of the standard there, 30% of your gross income. So
it's not, and see, I think this is where I got confused, because a lot of different sources have a lot of different definitions. It's always median income, but I've always heard it's your median income, your area's median income, or the national median income. Is it all three?
Well, generally speaking, it's going to be local.
Yes.
Local.
The most local, the most detailed piece or set of information you can get for where you live or want to live.
Okay.
Because even in an area such as Augusta, Georgia, the metropolitan statistical area, which encompasses quite a wide range of areas, we have a wide range of incomes. So if we want to say we're using this area of town, median household income may be this number.
Okay.
Another area of town, it could be 50 or 100% higher. So
so it's even more detailed than that. So it's not Augusta as a whole. It would be, say, the Laney Walker district.
Correct.
Or the east side, west side.
Sure.
Correct.
You see different rent rates asked for what could be similar properties in different areas, and some of that is related directly to the household income of folks who live in those areas.
Okay, so a lot of the onus of getting affordable housing is on the home buyer, would be on the home buyer or the renter or whatever, to know what their household income is and to search in those areas where it would not be outside their monthly price range. But how do they find those? How do you know?
I'm going to give an example and see if that's helpful.
Okay.
Okay.
Can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. What about now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. So have you ever been just thinking, okay, I want to live X, Y, and Z. And we're going to use the CSRA, right?
Right.
Let's say rent. I want to live in a 2-bedroom apartment. I want granite countertops. I don't want carpet. My budget is no more than $1,100. This is you and I and Tim, just us talking. Are you going to start your search in Evans?
No.
That's what he's referring to.
Okay.
So honestly, you already know because that right there lets you know, you automatically know, hey, Evans is more on the expensive side.
Mhm.
So if I know my budget for what I want is this, I'm automatically not going to start my search there because I know that they are higher. They are higher because their medians are different than Hephzibah, than Laney Walker District, than even right across the river. So that's what he was
So
referring to.
how can I, as a potential home buyer or potential renter, know that? Like, I don't know anything about the area. All I know is, like, say I'm getting stationed at, what are they calling it these
Fort
days?
Eisenhower.
Fort Eisenhower. And I'm looking. And I'm like, this is how much I get. This is how much I want to spend. I know the ideal thing would probably be to contact a realtor or what have you, but I'm gonna do it on my own. So how do I do it on my own? I mean, how would I know where to even start?
I would say if you just really want to do it yourself, I would start with whatever the counties. I would do a Google search of
Mhm.
surrounding counties. And I would go to those sites. I would go to Richmond County site.
Okay.
I would go to Columbia County site because they're going to have those their demographics. That's another term for it. They'll have their demographics on there. And in those demographics, it'll break down where their medians and things are.
Okay. That's good information. I gotta know that. But we'll make sure that the audience knows what they need to do. Another area is another topic, still has to do with affordable housing. But I've noticed also a lot of places in different areas, have affordable in their title. Is that just now, is that becoming like a catchphrase now? Because that's what really got me a whole bunch of confused. And I was like, I don't know what affordable is.
Yeah. So I would say some of that is attempting to identify the housing as what would traditionally be affordable for an area based upon the information. Some of it's also marketing, saying like, hey, if you made this property may be more affordable than you think, depending on the quality of the property, if that makes sense. So, and then some of it may also, depending on how certain types of projects, they may actually have to advertise it as affordable because it may have been designed or designated
As an affordable type.
housing, and then that's generally
Affordable for that area.
for that area. And generally, you're gonna see some level of tie-in with either the municipal government or the federal government.
Okay, yeah, because I think we have one built like right less than a block away, right down the street. What's it called? The Lennox.
The Lennox.
The Lennox, yeah. And I was like, but they look so.
Correct.
They
Beautiful.
look incredible and beautiful, and
Very
so
beautiful.
I wouldn't assume affordable.
Exactly.
Exactly.
However, like Tim was describing, that's a tax credit community.
Ah.
So they are going to be affordable because they have to be affordable because that is in the fine print of the documentation for the money that was given to them by the federal HUD or whatever other entity. It's in their fine print that they have to have a certain amount of units, or either the entire facility would have to be in real life deemed affordable for that area.
That's something I learned during my research because I wrote it down. I don't know if this is the term everyone used, but there's two different types of affordable housing. The dedicated affordable housing, which comes from the grants or the subsidies, and then the market affordable housing.
Correct.
Which is someone just saying, okay, I am just willing to make X amount of units or houses in this area affordable. Do they get tax breaks? I don't remember the ones that just do the market ones.
So that can be very, very multifaceted.
Mm-hmm.
It is very transactional, and it is based on what is negotiated in that deal and who's a part of the deal.
Okay.
So, for example, one of those entities you probably read about is going to HUD.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to see HUD. Now, when HUD says affordable, they have the most desirable math you can think of until you are a normal person who looks at their paycheck and you're like, I don't make that much. And HUD's going to say, how many kids do you have?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're like me, you're going to say none. And I'm like, oh, you make too much. So there's the government side of
Right.
affordable, and then you have the market side of affordable. And all of that is it's very transactional. So
Very
you
much
can't
so.
blanket it
Mhm.
for
Everyone.
exactly.
So what is the market area? And I'm just I hate to use the same word, for affordable housing, either public or the market, the dedicated or the market. What does that look like for people coming to in the CSRA? Like, are there availabilities?
So there is some availability as inventory is generally tight in housing across the board.
Right.
So, and if we're looking at an area where the median income may be higher, we may see more affordable or something that 30% or 1/3 of your income on a
Okay.
gross basis is achievable or attainable, or you as a potential homeowner or potential tenant feel I can't afford that.
You can't
'Cause
afford.
that's more of a behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where a place may be very, very nice, but you just don't feel like you can get to it.
Right.
Or a place may be like, oh, I can afford that, but no.
So
So there's a little bit of
Yes.
that consumer behavior component of it, rather than looking at just kind of the math side of it. So yes, there is inventory available, and again, some of it is in more of a development that might have a single provider for management services. Some of it might be through real estate brokerages,
Mhm.
company that offer portfolios.
That's where I was going to go with that.
Others might just be your individual
Individual
either seller or landlord who's offering that for rent, depending on what you're going.
And then I wanted to chime in on that. When you get to the market side of things,
Mm-hmm.
affordable is a lot more fluid because now it's perceived affordability. So
Okay.
they can say, hey, let's say we have that single owner, that's the landlord,
Mm-hmm.
and they're looking at everything else in a 2-mile radius around them. Everything else around me is $1,700. I'm $1,650. I'm
Okay.
affordable.
Okay.
Now, does that math with the numbers?
Right.
Probably not. But does it math against everybody else that's 1,700?
Mm-hmm. It does.
It does.
And I also heard that some of my research also said that there's some shortages. There are shortages across the board because people are no longer selling, and younger people are no longer buying, and that there were certain companies, I think Zillow was one of them, that was offering, instead of trying to push or aim for that buying power, just do the down payment, and then we'll worry about, can you make your monthly later on? Like I heard Zillow was doing like a 1%. All you have to do is put 1% down. No shade to Zillow if I'm incorrect. I'm sure it is. That's why is it a catch? It's a catch. Okay.
So there's a catch to everything.
I'm sure there is. I am sure there is.
Even working the local real estate market,
Mhm.
we live in these neighborhoods. There's a catch to everything. It's just understanding what that catch is, because the catch a lot of times isn't a catch. There's a fundamental reason why that requirement or that technique exists.
Wow.
So if you're buying and selling homes, or specifically purchasing homes, there are loan programs that do have lower to even zero down payment required, depending on the loan program.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, if you don't qualify for a zero down program, the next level is 3.5% to 5%, maybe 10% down payment. So if a lender is able to offer a 1% down, that program is something they're having to finance, and the lower the down payment, the higher the risk to whoever is loaning the money,
and more than likely, the higher your monthly costs.
Yes, because so again, if you finance 100% of the purchase price, that's your highest cost.
Wow.
If you finance 50% of the purchase price, you're financing half of it, so your monthly will be lower. So lower down payment programs from a home buyer perspective are great. We used my wife and I, when we were in our 20s, we used the FHA loan, and
Mhm.
3.5% down, and it was great because it helped us get in the house.
Right.
So, but there is some inherent understanding that your monthly payment will be higher the greater you finance, the greater amount you finance, whether that be actually just on the actual purchase number or the percentage that you're financing of the.
Wow.
There's going to be other caveats a lot of times too. So what Tim is talking about is the FHA, 3.5%. Okay, that's standard. But sometimes when you get into the 100%, there's always, let me not use a fallacy. Maybe not always, but there's often
Okay.
smaller caveats that they're going to say certain areas will qualify for the 100%. Other areas, you may not be able to use that same 100% down payment program. And that too varies by banking institution, by city, and by your income, because some of them may also have income caps that the buyer can have.
The best thing anyone who's interested in purchasing a home with is speak with a professional who originates mortgages for a living. So that's a loan originator. And you can do that at a bank. You can do that at a credit union. You can do that at a mortgage company or a mortgage broker. We have a very, very good community of professionals locally who can help a potential homeowner qualify or understand the loan programs available to them, and that's a private, confidential conversation, and understand their purchasing power. And if they can purchase today, what is that? Or I need to do a little work, maybe my credit score needs a little improvement, or I've got too much debt to income, and maybe I need to pay down a bill.
Right.
And that will open up the affordability, and that's we have a lot of great professionals in town who will have that really good conversation and help a consumer become better informed. And again, it could go right to that actual loan originator, their company, or credit union or bank. Each has a different process and program.
Now, are there some programs locally? Do you know of any to assist, not with the loans, but with some of the trying to get into some of the lower dedicated housing, like say the Lennox here? I'm sure it's not just a rental application.
So when it comes to things like that, once the Lennox becomes operational, the best thing to find out about the Lennox is going to be for interested parties to go straight to the Lennox and inquire directly with them what their process is, so that they can, spell it out for them. I always think it's best to just go to the source if it's something specific. For example, there's another tax credit property that is just outside of Gate 1 of Fort Eisenhower, right there on Gordon Highway.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Okay, so everybody's, oh my goodness, these are so new, rah. Hey, those are probably expensive. Turns out they're not. Why aren't they expensive? Because it's a tax credit property. Well, what does that mean? Well, they don't have any of their prices online. You can't really get much information because it's a tax credit property.
How can you find tax credit property in your area? How do you find the properties that are?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so tax credits are always through a municipal or state organization. So
like the Augusta Housing, probably go with the Augusta Housing Authority or the Augusta
Housing and Community Development may be able to assist a lot. They have programs too that are helpful for individuals who want to know about programs where they can get grants or just other assistance. HCD is an amazing resource.
And what was it again? HCD Housing?
Housing and Community Development.
Housing. I think that's the one we looked up before when we found out about the NACA and everything else. So I just can't remember the title for. Okay.
They call it HCD for short.
Okay.
But Housing and Community Development. They're an excellent resource, like across the board. The Housing Authority, if you're looking to rent, they're an excellent resource.
Okay.
And if you didn't want to necessarily call directly, you can always go on Richmond County's site and then go through the drop downs and pull up Housing Authority
in the area.
And Housing and Community Development as well, and look at their programs. Augusta has, would you agree, a lot of different, they do have a lot of different
a lot of
resources.
subsidized resources.
Programs that designed to assist to help make housing attainable.
Yes.
So some of that is rental assistance, some of that is down payment assistance, some of that is property tax credits when you purchase a house, and then there's some other programs out there. So I may have misspoken there on one of them, but the Augusta Richard County does have resources that other municipalities simply don't have the opportunity to offer. So they're available to everybody who's a resident of Richmond County.
Okay.
So you at least have that conversation. I mean,
That's good information.
And they're going to be like supernaturally knowledgeable.
Yes.
Because they write the grants.
Yes.
So they would know.
So to sum up, and before I give you both opportunities to say any lasting thoughts and advice, is affordable housing is based upon your local area median income, which means for Augusta is a whole bunch of different areas. So Augusta is not the same as Columbia County, which is not the same as Burke County, etc.
Yes.
So know what your local area median income is.
Right.
Point number 1, 2, there's a lot of resources. Make sure you go to Augusta Housing and Community Development to find out all the different resources. What else did I miss? I'm sure I missed a whole bunch.
Again,
Augusta Housing Authority.
Augusta Housing Authority for so you actually with the what used to be known as Section 8 program, but now it's Housing Choice Voucher program. Those are available for.
I was wondering what happened to. I'm sorry,
They changed the name.
I know I grew up with Section 8, but okay.
Those are available for rental assistance, but it is actually possible to use one of those vouchers to pursue a home purchase, and that's a very little known fact. So, but the Housing Authority can be of assistance on that as well. It is possible to do it. So,
Trying to think what else we covered, but any closing thoughts, comments, advice?
All of the above. Yes. I would say always keep in mind, go to the source.
Go to the source.
Do your own research. Your cousin and mama and uncle and them that bought a house 25 years ago, 10 years ago, 7 years ago.
Say it.
Yesterday's price is not today's price, nor is yesterday's information today's information. Do your own research and
beyond Google.
Beyond Google. And my other points would be something that I run into so often. Professionals are there for a reason. Use them. Don't be intimidated. Use them. It is their job to figure out how to find out what you can't. Bought sense is better than told, and it's also way more expensive.
I'm put that on a t-shirt. I like that.
And lastly, know your own business. You need to know what your DTI, your debt to income is. If you haven't spent any time with that acronym before you call somebody, do Google that. And then Google how to calculate it. Know what you bring in, know what you send out. Do know your credit and know not Credit Karma.
Y'all hear it. Come on. Hallelujah.
I'm finished. I'm off the soapbox.
That's a praise report right there. Tam?
Yeah. This is a relationship endeavor. Housing is. There are times when you live in a place, maybe you're renting and you have very little interaction with the property manager. Nothing goes on. You pay your rent. They leave you. There's little interaction, and you don't build a relationship. But if you're wanting to pursue a home purchase, especially if you've never done it before, so you're a first-time home buyer, or if you've not done it in a number of years, it's important to find a professional or a team of professionals that you connect with, and invest the time in building a relationship. Let them get to know you. Let them get to understand what your motivations are, the why, and then they will help you with the what, and then basically show you what the what is possible, and then the how. That's our job.
Awesome.
Is to be the bridge across from where you are today to where you want to be tomorrow. And that's really in any professional service industry, but the big thing is don't be scared of
Don't be
us.
scared.
If we're out there starting to ask questions, we need to know this so we can.
Because you don't want no surprises on the last day.
That's correct. And we want to help you not create surprises that will. Our job is to keep you on the happy path and help you get there.
And can we also throw in, Tim? You can let them. He can fact check me. When you're dealing with professionals, are we allowed to go around and talk amongst each other and to everybody else about your business, or is that just between you and your client?
So that's a great point to mention, because that gets back to agency.
Mm-hmm.
So we are governed by the states that we serve, in both Porsha and I are Georgia and South Carolina licensed.
Okay.
So we have two different states that govern us, but when we're in Georgia, we follow the Georgia real estate law. And consumers can choose to have confidential relationship, and they can choose not to.
Okay.
So that's something we would discuss in our first consultation, substantive conversation. And keep in mind that if you want to have a confidential relationship, then tell the professional.
Yeah, tell them.
You want us to work for you and keep your
business.
but also, and a lot of that actually comes down to the strategy and negotiation. We don't give away too much when we're in the negotiation, but it's a choice a consumer has, and it doesn't cost more or less to choose that. But so if you find someone you trust, you're generally going to talk to them a little more openly. So
awesome.
So and that's a natural outcome of engaging a professional, developing that relationship for someone who's going to help you get where you want to go, Shauna.
Awesome. I feel like I know so much more, because when I tell you, I was like, I think this little strand of gray hair right here came from me trying to figure this whole puzzle out. And so I appreciate you both coming in and making everything a whole much more clearer. Not just for me, but for everyone listening. I know from Malcolm over there too in the corner. He's hiding. So on behalf of myself, Tabernacle Baptist Church, and the Family Fortune, thank you. And I'm about to choke on my microphone. And until we meet again, I'm LaShawna.
I'm Porsha.
And I'm Tim.
And this is the Family Fortune. Bye. Wait, bye-bye. Thank y'all so much.